Sorry, took me a minute. I had to stop this little turd from knocking everything over. Please don't smack me in the face with your ears. You sweet, precious bean. I know you just want all of the attention. Hey, have you considered sleeping during streams and being awake when I'm not streaming? Oh, thanks. Oh, thanks. I finally redid it. It took me long enough. But thanks. We're back to being purple again. But hi, friends. Welcome. How is everyone doing? Are we excited to be here? Because I'm excited to be here, I say as my cat flops everywhere. Hey. Hey. Why are you like this? Huh? Huh? Why are you a turd like this, huh? But, yeah. We got some games. We got some games for tonight. I was genuinely panicking that Itch.io wasn't gonna be up in time because I was in the process of downloading some stuff, and then I went to go get the last game, and Itch.io was like, no, I think I'm gonna crash now, and that was awful and terrible. But it's fine because we've resolved everything. Hi, Bean. Are you? Can I set you down now? Are you gonna behave if I set you down? Hey! Are you gonna behave if I set you on the ground? Hey! It's true. Itch.io did do a seasonal Halloween scare on me. They were like, boo! We don't work! JK, we're fine! I need them to not do that, though. Any other day of the week they can do that. Not today, though. Not on Fridays. But, yeah. Got 3 games. We're gonna check out Crowscare today, which I'm super stupidly excited about. And Arcade's here, which is super wonderful and lovely, and I adore it. But I'm just dumb excited for this game. Anyway. And then Interrogation 091, which Killjoy Sam pointed out to me, and I'm very excited to check that one out, as well as the demo for Chasing Static, which I believe the full game is out as of now.
Such a cutie patootie.
Hi, Allie. Hi, Allie. Thanks, friend. Why was Kim Rold's pause there so long? Why did she wait so long to say that? I don't get it. Hold on, I gotta move my fan and not roll over Lamia while I'm doing it. That's better. It was probably me that knocked it out of the way, but I'm gonna blame the cats. Anyway, Chasing Static is out now, so I do have the Steam link for it, but we're gonna check out the demo for it today, because why not? So without any further ado, I think we'll just start. Are you gonna start yelling at me? Don't yell. Lamia demands all the pets, but will not sit still for it, and that's a problem. Because I need her to sit still if she wants to hang out with me. Hey, chat? There you are. Forgot to unhide you from earlier. I moved you around, I resized you and everything. Forgot to do the unhide thing. Anyway, hi. We're gonna start with Crowscare. As per usual, we got the content warnings for y'all in the chat. Also, I'm not gonna say I had an effect on this, but honestly, big thank you, Arcade, for putting the content warnings on the page. Panda, hello, welcome. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if I'm the first to do a playthrough of it. It just came out today. You just put it up a few hours ago, right? But no, seriously, like, I scream about it all the gosh dang time. At least, like, you know what? At least with you, like, you did put content warnings at the beginning of your games, previously, which I do really appreciate. But it's just nice to have them on the page so that people, like, can just see what they're getting into beforehand. That's all. You, again, at least had content warnings for your games, which is better than a lot of other people, but it's nice having it on the page. So thank you! I did say doo-doo. You got my stutter to thank for that. But yeah, thank you for putting it on the dang page. A, it makes it very easy for me to copy and paste into Moobot, but also, again, very nice that we know what we're getting into beforehand. Anyway, that's my spiel on that. Other devs, take note. Take note. I just want to start. Let's just fucking start. Let's just go. But yeah, speaking of content warnings, this game contains themes and depictions of blood and gore, implied child abuse, extreme violence towards children, and implied potential child death. Just heads up on that, in case you were wondering. Hi, game! Hold on a second! Why is everything so loud all of the time in my headphones? All of the time. Is that better? Is that a better volume? Are we good with that? It's not you, it is me. It is indeed me, and the way my computer is set up. Every game starts out way too loud. Always and forever. Hopefully that's a better volume though. If it's not, we can always readjust. But until then, yes, I think that's all I need you to do right now. Sorry. It's true. I am loud, therefore my computer must be loud as well. Always. Also. Okay. Pick out the biggest pumpkins in the southeast patch. Chase away all the birds and check on Haley. It thinks it can outloud me. It cannot. It can't. Let me confirm right now. After that, come talk to me again to figure out what to do next. Oh yeah? And what are you gonna do, Dad? I'm gonna sit here and rest. I have to save my energy for the Harvest Festival after all. Come on! You can't even spare a little magic for me? Just this once? Sorry, Rio. You know I have to save my energy. If I spend it all helping with the farm, I'd have none left for the Harvest Festival. You're my little champion. You can handle it, right? Unless... Huh? No, yeah! I am the champion! Right? Cute art. I'm already just like... New arcade game. Everything is good. I do like the little crow icon at the bottom of the text. That's precious. Just a really cute detail. I like, anyway. I can totally do it. I've done it before. You can count on me, Dad. I'll do it lightning fast. Faster than you can cast any spell of yours. I thought so. If you need help remembering what to do, just come back and ask me. Or, you know, you could write it down in that journal I got you. Haven't seen you use it since I gave it to you. Why would I write it down when I have you right here? That face! Alright, fair. Either way, I'll be waiting right here. Yeah, I didn't think you'd be moving very far. But I'll get it done now. Good boy. I have another chore for you after, so don't forget to come back to me once you're done. Got it! Oh, he's so cute! Okay, it's a very good little touch. I appreciate it. Oh no, Haley! Have the birds been picking out all your straw again? Don't worry, I'll fix you up. Oh, better. Oh, Haley, you're not a very good scarecrow, are you? What else do I have to do? We need to pick the pumpkins? The biggest pumpkin! Well, do I just click on the field? Tiny pumpkin not ready to be picked yet. Sizable pumpkin. Look at you. I would have trouble lifting you if I wasn't so strong. Sizable pumpkin. Orange pumpkins are always the best ones. Don't tell the other pumpkins I said that, though. I'ma tell. I'm gonna tell all of them. You'd make a great jack-o'-lantern. Or a great pumpkin pie. This is... Also, the candy corn colored trees. Love. I'm so happy that it's October. I'm so happy that fall is here, and this is like my favorite season of all time, and not just because it's spooky season, but it's like good sweater weather, and everything is comfy and delightful, and yeah, no, 100%, I'm tattling to the other pumpkins. Hey, other pumpkins! Orange pumpkins are the best! Hi! Can you not scream at me, please? Hey, come here. Lamia! Here, can you sit in my lap? Will you be a good girl? Hi. She demands affection. This game is your autumn love letter. I'm here for it. I'm very excited. Hey, no biting. You either sit in my lap carefully and calmly and sweetly. Nope. Okay. Down you go. Goodbye, kitten. We're not gonna be mean. No, no, no. Nope. Not me telling off my cat. Don't mind me. Oh, you're perfectly round. I bet everyone's gonna be fighting over you. Those look like all the biggest pumpkins in this patch. Do I have anything left to do? We need to chase off the crows? Is that it? Ah, run button. Bucket of resting water. The bugs love it. Dad, I've already forgotten what I'm supposed to do. Large pile of hay. Don't even think about trying to jump in it. I'm thinking about it. Can't do it. I'm not gonna ask him either. I refuse to admit that I've already forgotten. Ah! It's the good crows. It's my favorite crows. Boo! You don't scare me, kid. Whoa, you can talk? Yeah, what about it? Oh, no, nothing. I mean, I've met plenty of talking birds before. Why are you hanging around my farm acting all shady? It's the dollar store. How good can they be? Very good. They're very good. They're so good. Even Lamia thinks so, okay? No, it's fair. It's fair. It's like it's the TikTok you sent me earlier. You're my dad? Boogie woogie woogie. A vine opportunity, if you will. Why are you hanging around my farm acting all shady? That's kind of weird, isn't it? Look, kid, I'm trying to help you. Something bad is coming. What is it? You're looking forward to the Harvest Festival, right? Sarah! Hello! Thank you for the raid, friend! The raid! That just means more people are gonna see your game, Arcade. No pressure, anything. It's fine. We're all just gonna judge it extremely harshly. No. Hi, Sarah! Hi, Raiders! Hi, Fruity. How's everyone doing? How are you all? How are things? Oh, excuse me, sorry, burpee. Let's hop on over here real quick while we listen to this very sweet, very lovely music. You were doing more front mission today! How'd it go? How was Dennis? How was Emma? How was the gang? Thank you for getting the shout out there, Travis. If y'all don't follow Sarah yet, you should. They're a delight. Very good music. But hi friends, welcome. I'm Kayshurrr. I think most of you know me, but if you don't, I'm an LGBTQ+ streamer who focuses on horror and mystery games. Today is Friday, which means it's our indie game day. We check out a bunch of really cool indie games from, well, cool, not all of them are great, but that's fine. But we do check out a lot of indie games, primarily from itch.io. But yeah, there might be a few of you who don't know me. Willis, thank you for following. But yeah, we're checking out some indie games today. We are starting out with this one called Crowscare, which is made by the lovely Arcade Kitten here in chat. we're only kind of fans. Only kind of. But yeah, we're gonna be checking out some games today. We're gonna start with Crowscare, and then get to Interrogation 091 and Chasing Static, if we got time for it. But Sarah, as per usual, I assume you bet. Aww. Aww, that's very sweet of you, Sarah. Thank you for the gift sub. But yeah, as I was about to say, you've been streaming for a little bit. As per usual, if you gotta get up, do a lurk to take care of yourself by stretching, eating some food, getting some water, doing whatever you gotta do. Totally understandable. You need to take care of yourself. Take care of your dang self, I guess, as we say around here. Screwy says, eat more screws. You need human things. We've just started streaming, so we'll be here for a good long while. But yeah, that goes to anyone who was watching Sarah's stream as well. If you need to get up and do a stretch, get some food, get something to drink, attend to other business, totally understand, totally acceptable. I'm gonna get back to this dang game though, because I'm stupid excited about it, as I keep saying. You look. What was the voice that I gave this crow? You're looking forward to that harvest festival, right? Yeah, why? Someone wants to ruin it for you. Worse than you can imagine. But I think if you're careful, you can make sure it turns out okay. Alright? Why are you telling me this, though? Because kids like you are the ones who need a better understanding of dangerous situations. Facts, though. But hell, even some adults can't recognize that some birds are too big to scare. You're just a little bird. Shut up! But keep your eyes out, kid. Stay away from the forest, alright? Hopefully this is the only time we'll need to speak. Just be careful. You don't want to have to see me again. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Bird, actually, I do. Bird. Boo! Roar! Excuse me. This is my house, not yours. Ah! Gotcha! Well, that's all the birds. Is there anything else I have to do? Actually, I think that's it. I should go tell Dad I'm all done. Dad! Let me just get super hype about everything constantly. Don't mind me. Dad! Dad! I finished everything. I hope my dad doesn't actually hear me screaming that. I don't need you, Father! Stay away. Already? You're so fast. I knew I could count on you. What do you need me to do now? Here, I packaged some mini pumpkins for you to bring to the library. You want to decorate the windowsills with them. You know how to get there, right? My dad do got a good reading voice. Just saying. Of course I do. It's the green building close to Main Street's entrance. They got all the yellow pumpkins in front now. That's right. You're such a smart boy, Rio. Of course I'm smart. I could take care of the whole farm by myself. Don't get ahead of yourself. You still get tangled in the hose every now and again. Well, that's just, 'cause I'm small. But I'll deliver those pumpkins, lickety-split. Tell the librarians I said hi. Okay, bye, Dad. Wait. Is it down? Because north is the fourth. Look at these scarecrows. Ah! Sorry, there's so much to look at right now. Hi, Bono. I know my building, but also Embry and Dr. Delight and just. I don't know where to start. I'm overwhelmed. Is this it? Is this it? Is this? Not me getting teary-eyed over just everything. What the fuck? Okay, thanks. I just need a second. Hold on. I knew it was here and I'm still just like... Okay. I love you too, Arcade. You're great. Sorry, I just looked at my captions and they were incorrect. Emotions plus 1 facts, though. Even though you've never been able to attend a harvest festival before, Dad always brought you back treats to enjoy the next morning. Okay, but can he actually? They always taste delicious, but you're excited to be able to get them fresh this time. Let's go! Get baby Rio some treats! Get baby Rio some treats! I think it's Rune. I think it's Rio's dad. His name is Rune, right? Right? Am I wrong about that? I might be wrong about that. Ugh, fake fan. Not my dad. Friendly scarecrow with dapper apparel. Okay, but they're all precious looking. Rio's dad is Rune, not a fake fan. That's what I thought. But also, my baby, and look at his stupid leaf eyeballs. Okay. Tell him to get treats. I'm gonna yell at my dad to get me treats. Hey, Dad. I've never been able to attend a harvest festival before. You gotta bring me treats, okay?
A body has been discovered.
It's me, because I'm dead. It's me, because I'm dead. I am dead. I am dead. There's just... I gotta be professional. It's so lovely to be here during the autumn. Positively delightful. Embry! Since never! I have to at least kind of pretend. I have to kind of pretend, okay? Gotta learn for a bit. That's totally fine, Willis. You take your time. Like I said, we'll be here for a good long while. Even though we mostly do horror games, we try to keep everything, like, super positive and sweet and cute. What a nice change of clothes. It's not the paint-stained apron anymore. Now the real question is, does Embry also shower in these clothing? Or in this clothing? You just stand in the shower with it on, right? Oh, hi Rio. Nice outfit! You look, what's it called? Sharp! Thank you, I picked it out myself. You've got great taste, Mrs. Oliver. Thank you. Hello there, Rio. How's your father doing? Am's hi! There's so many friends here today. How's it? Oh. This is me just getting hyper excited about all the things. But I mean, yes, correct. Yes, correct. But so does everyone else. Also, thank you for getting the shout out. How was the last of Animal Crossing? I ended up having to do a bunch of stuff after Gale showed up, I believe. I mean, you summoned Gale with the amiibo, and then you were talking to them at some point. Finally kicked out clothes, which was my main objective. Good job! You did it! Get him out of here. But yeah, as new people are filtering in, we do have the content warnings up there if you need them at all, possibly, potentially. 4 hours later. Hey, sometimes it's a process. But yeah, if you do need the content warnings, they are above. If you need to pull them up at any point during the stream, !CW. Yeah, I'm just, so many feels. Is that why you guys are in town? No, we were just passing through, but since the festival is happening, we're probably gonna stay in town for a few days. well, I see you're with Mom and Dr. D. Where's Dad at? Dad is looking for someone who can fix the cart. It broke down as soon as we entered town. But at least we all have the festival to look forward to while we wait for it to get fixed. Yeah. But even when there isn't a festival, you guys should stop into town more. I miss you when you aren't here. I miss you too, Rio. Maybe one day we can travel together. Aw, without us? We miss you too, you know. Gee, Embry, how come you get to have 3 parents? I'm just lucky, I guess. Oh, my sweet baby. Yeah, really lucky. Rio, did you say something? Oh, no, just thinking to myself. I'll see you guys at the festival. Have a great rest of your day. Rio. My sweet baby. Also. These two are always up to something. Always. These two are, oh. It's the same thing. Necrotary! Hi, Rio! Rio, it's so good to see you out and about. I also love your little buddies. Hello, Miss Mifuma. I like your sweater. It is a very good sweater. A very good sweater. They're just so cute. Thank you. You're such a sweetheart. Rio, we were just about to get dinner. Do you want to come with? You're always welcome to join us, you know. Why are they so cozy? I need to stop doing whatever I'm doing with my throat, my voice. Oh, I will. We're gonna look at everything. Don't you worry. That sounds nice, but I'm running chores for Dad right now. Maybe next time. Right. Can't he just do it himself? I want you to come eat with us. No, not during Harvest Festival season. Dad, Dad can't walk. Wait, for reals? I thought you knew. That's why he's always floating when you see him. I thought he just did that for fun. Nope, he uses some weird levitation magic to get around. Something like that. We just appreciate seeing body diversity here, honestly. But also Mifuma is adorable. Good character designs. I'm pretty sure I've said it before, but I just love how, like, diverse most of your characters are. They're just great. But whenever the Harvest Festival rolls around, he saves up all his magic energy to make fireworks. Make a fireworks show for everyone. I'm having a hard time. We're all just gonna cry. It's fine. What's up, Bono? What's going on? He doesn't move around much to save up as much magic as possible. And that's where I come in. I always help him so he doesn't gotta strain himself or nothing. Oh, that makes sense, I think. But we'll still get to play together during the Harvest Festival, right? Yeah, of course. I'm really excited. This is actually gonna be my first one. No way, really? Yellow! My vote's yellow! Yellow! Allie also says yellow. Sarah also says yellow. It sounds like you're getting yellow contact lenses. No, wait, really? Don't you, like, live here? How come you never went to one before? Isn't it, like, a yearly thing? I remember coming here for the festival before we were friends. It is, I'm always in bed by sunset. Huh? That does seem a little early. I know, but farm work is tiring. Plus, Dad says the nighttime can be dangerous. I love white contacts. I love white contacts. I used to wear colored contacts a lot, just for the hell of it. Welcome back, Sarah. Right, nighttime can be dangerous. But he's also been saying he thinks I'm strong enough to handle any dangers at night now. So I'm really excited to be outside during the nighttime, and for the Harvest Festival too. It's gonna be a blast. In that case, I can't wait to see you there. precious friends, precious friends, 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 friends. Statue dedicated to the goddess Luciana. Luciana is a goddess of nature. On harvest night, her chalice is said to fill itself with moonlight. In return for such a wonderful drink, Luciana grants a plentiful harvest season for everyone. It's almost your day, Luciana. I can't wait to be able to celebrate the harvest festival with you. I bet moonlight tastes delicious. Bet it tastes like cheese. Friendly scarecrow with dapper apparel. It's a lot of scarecrows. Can I look at the pumpkins? Also, what's this building? Town General Store. Whenever you come in here, Mr. Washu sneaks you a piece of candy from under the counter, even when Dad insists to him that you've got enough sweets at home. Store isn't just candy, though. It's got a lot of everything. But you mostly come here for the candy. Get it. I get it. I gotta look at all the buildings. Was the library the one on the left or the right? Terry's gardening supplies. I see who you're. I see what you're doing. Yellow pumpkin is library. Thank you. You stop here with Dad sometimes when you need to replace something on the farm. No matter the day or season, Terry always seems to have freshly cut beautiful roses on display. Yes. Okay. Brain. We're sure he must be a magician of sorts as well, but he always denies the claim when you ask him. Cute. I haven't seen Terry in a while. I hope they're doing good. Town pharmacy. Don't really come here a lot. Whenever you're sick, Dad just makes you some kind of health potion to take care of it. But of course, he can't always do that for everyone, so having a pharmacy in town is still helpful. In fact, you're pretty sure they buy health potions from your dad sometimes. Maybe if you learn to make them too, you can supply them with some of your own. Oh, I've got hiccups. I'm so sorry. This is adorable and I love it. What was this one? General store. Right. Hi, truck outside. Can I talk to these people at all? No, I just walk through them. That's okay. I mean, even when things go tits up, it can still be adorable, right? A clothing store. You're almost never in here. Anytime your clothes get a tear, you just patch it up. No use in wearing nice clothes on a farm after all. Talk to still people, not walking people, because I'm like, hey, that'd be a lot to be doing. It's understandable. Thank you again, Rio. No problem. Time to go back home. Time to go back home. Sounds like it's time to go back home. Sky looks so pretty. I can't wait until I can watch the entire sunset. It truly is a sight to behold. After the Harvest Festival's over, you can sit here and watch it with me every evening if you'd like. That sounds nice. Do I really have to wait until the Harvest Festival, though? Can't I just watch the whole sunset with you right now? I just think the night of the Harvest Festival will make it all the more special. And I want your life to be full of as many special memories as possible, don't you? Yeah, I guess so. How was your trip into town today? Did the library like the pumpkins? Oh yeah, they loved them! Oh, and you'll never guess. I saw both Embry and Necrotary today. Really now? How wonderful. Tell me about it. Embry was out with their mom and Dr. D. Oh, how's their mother doing? That's funny, she asked the same thing about you. How kind. Anyway, they were passing through town, but their cart broke down. But while it's getting fixed, they're gonna stay in town for the festival. That's wonderful. Well, not that their cart broke down, or broke, I suppose. But I'm happy you'll be able to spend time with them again. Yeah, Embry's so cool. I love when they're in town. And Necrotary? Oh, yeah. She was out with her mom, too. They invited me to dinner, but I told them you needed help here. Oh, you didn't have to do that. I would have let you go with them. You're good about getting home on time. I know, but I like eating dinner with you too, Dad. Right? They're precious. Ugh. Just too cute. That's sweet. You're a sweet kid. Dad? Can I ask you something? Of course. Seeing everyone out with their moms today, I was just wondering, are you ever gonna tell me about Mom? Rio, we've discussed this before, haven't we? You don't have a mom. I made you from straw, magic, and a lock of my hair. Why, the only difference between you and Haley over there is that you can talk. Wow! Okay. That's what you always say. Do you really think I believe that? Rio. Rio, I don't think he was joking, baby. Sweet darling. Everyone may call you powerful, but even I don't think you can pull off magic like that. I never, ever heard of anyone bringing someone to life through magic. You think I can't do it? If you can, then show me. I want to see you do it. No thanks. One kid is enough for me. Is there anything else you need done before the sun is finished setting? Well, I do need some mushrooms for a potion I want to make. They only grow in the forest. I'll get them myself tomorrow. But Dad, what about your magic? I thought you needed to save up energy. I can spare a little to go into the woods for an hour. I could get them for you, Dad. That way you don't have to worry about it. No, I don't want you to. The woods are dangerous, you know. There's rumors of an evil witch who lives there. I hear she eats children. Yeah, right. I bet that evil witch people talk about is just you. Don't make jokes like that, Rio. Sorry, Dad. I didn't mean it. Really? Don't worry about it. I'm gonna worry about it. I can get them tomorrow. It's fine. Okay. And... This is fine. Excuse me, hold on. Runny nose. I love you! I love you too, Dad. It's almost time for bed now. Why don't we go inside? I'll have other stuff for you to do tomorrow. Let's get you to bed on time, and I'll see you in the morning. Alright. Hi, truck. Dad's asleep. I can totally go get those mushrooms. Dad's been saying himself that I've grown up strong enough to handle any dangerous things at night. I bet he'll be extra impressed by me if I show him that I can go get the mushrooms on my own. And he won't have to waste any of his magic either. Forest is right next to the house, so even if I get a little lost, I don't think I'll be that far from home. Now, all I need is a lantern. I don't know a lot about the night, but I do know it gets dark. Rio's such a cool kid. But it's cute rebellious. He's trying to be helpful, right? Real dark, apparently. But whenever Dad needs to see something in the dark area, he takes out an old lantern to keep things light. He even taught me how to use it. And it should be over... Ah, there we go. Now, all I gotta do is get out really quietly. Whoa! This is the night? It feels so weird. If it's night, then that up there must be the moon. Hello, moon. Are you delicious? Oh, shit! Huh? It's a scarecrow! Thanks! Very good. Very good. Ah! Congrats! It's a scarecrow! He still looks super cute, though. What is this? My hands! This thread! What happened to me? We went from perfect to 2 ripe in seconds. We're just like an avocado. Just like an avocado. I love him. Dad really... He really was telling the truth, huh? He knew that if I went out at night, I'd see that I really am a scarecrow. But I don't understand. Dad, he always told me I was a scarecrow even when I didn't believe it, when I thought he was just kidding. So, if this was never really meant to be a secret, why was I never allowed to go out at night? It's weird. I feel so different, and yet it still somehow feels like myself. Look at his little face! What am I waiting around for, then? I'll go get those mushrooms. Like, cute scarecrow kid. Ah! Thank you. I always forget. Wait, do I have any items on me? I don't. That's okay. No save! Live life dangerously! It's Crow Friend! It's our New Yorker Crow Friend! Forget about it, Crow! There we are. There we are. Hey, kid! You stupid? Hey, it's you again! What are you doing here? It's our New Yorker Crow. It's true, it's true. Ain't it past your bedtime? Yeah, how'd you know? You should go back home. That witch they talk about, she ain't no joke. Oh yeah? Let's go home, kid. I will. I just gotta get some mushrooms for my dad first. Better get them quickly then. I love New Yorker Crow. Huh? What was that noise? That was me? I didn't even feel it. Yeah, Rio? You're made of straw, buddy. Of course you didn't feel it. I really am just all straw, huh? I see. I really hope the witch isn't there. What? So you want Rio to get eaten, is what I'm hearing, Travis. For shame. We need to stay away from open flames. This must be why I wasn't allowed out. If this tear was any bigger, my whole leg might empty out. Just makes sense. No? Are you implying that the witch has always eaten straw children? Are you telling me, Travis, that you believe every child in this town is a straw child? Is that what I'm to understand? No, it's okay. Dad was gonna start letting me go out at night for the Harvest Festival anyway. So then, he must think I'm big enough to take care of myself. I won't be scared by some little scratch. Okay, alright, you know what? No. You're... Slightly valid point? Horse witch. A Hans witch. Terrible. Terrifying. I won't get scared by some little scratch. I'll just shove the straw back in, cover it up with some mud, and sew it back up once I get home. Yeah, that'll work. I can handle things at night and like this. Even Dad thinks so. Right? Also, I really like the... It's not necessarily like an inverted palette, but I like... Horsey! But I like the color swap on Rio. It's very cute. Don't wander too far. Oh, I'm gonna wander. I'm gonna wander. I see that bush moving. Just a bush. And, oh! I think that's supposed to be an old backpack lies on the ground. This force was a pain in my ass. It looks great, but also, that should be A backpack. An old backpack. The inside is empty. Strap is broken. I guess they didn't think it was worth fixing. But you're not even going to take it back home with you? It's fine. It's fine. Typos happen. The woods are dangerous. Beware the witch who lives here. Okay, but I just want to, like, look around. But I just want to look around? Are all the... Nope, just the one. It's true, even AAA devs do put in typos sometimes. And that's not even the most egregious typo I've seen ever. So, you know, it's fine. This doesn't... Does this go anywhere? No. I didn't think so. But it was worth a look. Okay, but does this bush... Oh, this bush does move! Just a bush? I don't think it's just a bush. Hear me out? Not just a bush. Don't stay in the woods too long. She's outside more than you'd think. Is that an axe over there? What is that? Beware the witch. Don't traverse the woods alone. Yeah, I'm doing everything I'm not supposed to. Half of a shirt lies here. Looks like it's been torn. This reminds me of when I ripped my shirt climbing up a tree. I'm sure this is here for a similar reason. I can navigate around the asshole trees. It's fine. It's fine. Bird friend! Hi, bird friend. Are you following me? Nah! Why would I do that? I don't know, man. You kind of acted like you were worried about me before. You're imagining things if that's what you think. Why are you here then? I'm not! I'm leaving right now! Bye, crow friend. Which lives nearby. Tread carefully. Okay, but what if I don't? What if I do? Boots! I was looking for a new pair of shoes. What about Goat Witch? I'd accept a Goat Witch. Pair of old boots lays in the grass, as if whoever was wearing them was plucked right out of them. How does that happen? Walking around a forest without shoes would hurt, wouldn't it? Goats do be eating everything. Just a bush. Something wicked this way lives. Oh, dang. I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Don't think I have. Okay. Back down we go. Gotta look at all the things. Just a bush. Again, not convinced that it's just a bush. Dangerous witch lives past this point. Best to turn back. Can I look at the fence? Okay, we'll turn back. Just a bush. I've seen that one. Where the heck are these mushrooms? Tree. Tree. Hey, tree. Can I interact with these? No. Can I interact with that? No. Mushrooms? We'll find them. We'll find them. Don't even worry about it. We'll find them. But I'm not the only one who's oh my god, who struggled with it a little bit. I mean, to be fair, I genuinely forgot we were looking for mushrooms. That's where we came from. And I was busy trying to look at signs and lost articles of clothing. Where does this go? Not me trying to find ways to break your game already. This is not the intent. warning signs. No matter how much you ask, I will never listen. I am also just enjoying the sounds. There they are. Looks like you found the mushrooms. Looks like you found them before I did. We could have just went looking together, you know. Can you just take your mushrooms and go home already? I am. Jeez. Adam. It wasn't too hard at all. What was that? It sounded like a tree fell. Sweet, sweet default RPG Maker music. Look. If it fits, if it works with the situation, why not go default? It's good. I like it. Well, I got what I needed. I'll just, go home then. I'm not gonna be able to. It was probably the bridge fallen. Let me tell you, it was the bridge falling. Yeah, that wasn't, I wouldn't necessarily say that those were difficult to find. I just got distracted by all the signs and all the just a bushes. Arcade. Oh no! That noise! The trunk fell? How am I gonna get back now? Now what's this? Who was that? You're a little scarecrow boy. That's new. I love her. Please don't eat me. I'm nothing but straw. And he can't go back the way he came through. No path to return to. Not a goat. Not a goat. In cases like these, I'm gonna love her for always. I think a bridge will do. Look! Nice witch lady in the forest is helping us out. They usually do. No warning. I will not listen. There you go. I love her. His little faces. Hey! Come back! You should go home now. Past arcade new! Past arcade new! Arcade how? How could you do this to me? Let me die by the hand of the Witch of the Woods, please! You knew! But we want a mother! I mean... Mommy? Sorry. Mommy? Sorry. Mommy? Sorry. Good morning, Dad. Good morning, son. Oh, good news. Huh? Turns out I don't have to go looking for mushrooms today after all. I was checking through the cabinets today. Saw some right in front. I was certain we had run out, but I suppose I was just overlooking things. Oh, yeah. Silly, Dad. You just weren't looking hard enough. They are the mushrooms you needed too, right? Yep, I've got everything I need. See? Told you didn't have to worry about it. Yeah. Anyway, what do you need me to do today? I want you to make hay bales of the small piles of hay in the northwest field, chase away some more birds, and check on Haley again. You can do that, right? Hay bales. Chase away birds. Check on Haley. You can always ask me if you forget anything, and come talk to me again after you're done, okay? Okay. Okay. Why does Haley look angry? She didn't look angry yesterday, did she? Something about Haley looks different today. Well, all your straw's in place, but... I'll see you later, Haley. What else did I have to do? Crow friend is back. We're gonna save the crows for last. Oh, running too fast. Large pile of hay. Don't even even think about trying to jump it. Is this not where I'm supposed to do the hay bales? Ah, pile of hay. Let's fix you up. Aha! You know, this is a little weird after my discoveries last night. I won't think about it too hard. You don't want to think about how you're playing around with your organs? Pile of hay. Time to square you up. Is this why you said don't think about jumping in the hay bales? Because that would be like me bathing in the blood of my brethren? It's all the little haystacks. Now, what do I do? Ah, yes. Child flesh. Travis.
A child.
Arcade! I mean, yeah, but it's also, our insides aren't just water. Arguably, Rio's insides are just hay. Okay. Alright, nope. Chat's got you on this one. I don't know that for sure. Okay. Plausible deniability. I see how it is. Let's just chase away the birds. Boom! Roar! Ah! Gotcha! What are you doing? Get out of here! Hi, New Yorker Crow. It was real stupid what you did last night, kid. Hey, it's you again. Do you have a death wish? Are you talking about the witch? Is that who you wanted to warn me about the other day? Because you didn't need to. She was nice to me. I am Rio right now. But the witch was nice. She helped me get back home. That's because you didn't have anything she wanted. Huh? You were only straw and fabric. No use in killing a stupid scarecrow. I don't understand. Of course you don't. Because you're just a kid. Just be a good kid. Don't sneak out at night anymore. Well, that's all the birds. Again. Is there anything else I have to do? Actually, I think that's everything. I should go talk to Dad again. I love her. I love Witch of the Woods. I finished everything. Wonderful. I knew I could count on you. Hey, Dad? Yes, son? Can you tell me about the witch who lives in the forest? I'm sorry. Did mentioning it the other day scare you? You don't have anything to worry about, Rio. Even though we live quite near the forest, she can't get near here or the town. Really? Why's that? That witch, you see, she isn't just a witch. She's a crow, too. That's why we have so many scarecrows, don't you know? They help ward off evil spirits, including nasty old crows. Rude. Don't talk shit to my new wifey, okay? Really? Then how come I always gotta chase the birds away myself? It's cause you're a scarecrow, Rio. I guess that's just because you're the best scarecrow there. Thanks, Dad. Yeah, I am pretty great. But, so there really is a witch then? Who lives in the woods? And we're sure she's evil. Well, if she's good, I wouldn't know it. I've never seen her myself, if you can believe that. Maybe she really is just an old wives' tale. Or maybe it just means our scarecrows are doing a good job. Yeah, I guess so. You weren't worried about it, are you? Oh, no. I mean, I've never seen her before either. So I guess everything's the way it's supposed to be. If it's alright, I have a few extra errands for you. Yeah, of course, Dad. It's like you said, you can count on me. For starters, I'll need you to... Dad's asleep. Don't psych yourself out, Rio. I gotta see her again. I have to thank her for helping me yesterday. And if she can't come to town, then I have to go to her. It'll be okay. Just like yesterday. She found me pretty easily, so she can't live too far, right? We know where she is. We've seen the signs. Rio, we know where she lives. It's you again. Didn't I tell you to stay home? You're not my dad. Hi, Emmy. Devo says hi. It is a scarecrow. We're precious and adorable, and we're gonna go see the Witch of the Woods. You're not my dad. Yeah? And what would your dad say if he saw you doing this? Emmy says hi. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm already outside. I just want to thank her for yesterday. That's all. If you just stayed home, this wouldn't even be an issue. Well, what about you then? Doesn't seem like you're ever home at night. Psh, whatever. You're not gonna listen to me anyways, right? Fine then, go on ahead. See if I care. But don't say I didn't warn ya. My crow friend, I love you. I know I do everything. You're right, you're right. This is why Arcade's here. To remind me to say, fuck! Hold on. Yeah, it has to be. I'm sure I'll make it there soon. You're right. I'm gonna save over. What's this? I hate you. Ouch! I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Hope you die, and I hope it's because they kill you. Jeez, what's all that about? I don't like that. Fire will not burn our bridges. Fire will bring them together. We do like the scarecrow. Look at how precious Rio is! Our sweet, sweet boy. Light torch? Like, oh. Oh. Okay, that one? Nope. So 2, 4. There we go. Classic. Another bridge. This witch must really love bridges. A bridge witch. A bridge? A witch? No, neither of those sounds right. I don't like how similar I feel to Rio right now. It's, let's go to the beach. Breach. Breach. Devo's doing a scratch over there. Surprise! Surprise! Wifey! Oh? The little scarecrow boy from the other night? How did you get here? I followed all the signs that said, don't go here, a witch lives up ahead. Those silly little things. Never bothered to take them down. No idea who put those there. But yes, I suppose that's me. Devo. Shh, sweet boy. Sweet boy. I am a witch. Suppose that's why I don't get many visitors. Well, except for you, it seems. What about you, little scarecrow boy? I've never met anyone like you before. What are you doing here? Oh, that's because I have something for you. What's this? A flower? For me? How sweet. What is this for? For helping me get home the other day. Would have been stuck in the woods if it wasn't for you. I see. Thank you very much. Though, it is quite late for a visit. Do you always come out at night? Do your mom and dad know, you're out here? Oh, my dad doesn't know. I would get in trouble if he did. And your mom? I don't have a mom. I see. Mommy? Sorry. Mommy! Sorry. Mommy. Sorry. Would you like one? Huh? I apologize, that must sound so sudden. It's just... I've been alone out here for so long. Why, I can't even remember the last time I saw another person. And it's just... Forgive me if I appear a bit emotional, it's just... I had a child once. Another cosplay cosplay opportunity? I'd 100% dress up as this witch. 100%. But also, I had a child once. All the opportunities today. All of them. But children don't stay children forever. That child grew up. Is it Rune? Is it Rune? Is that her child? And left me here on my own. Ever since, I've been, well, having a bit of empty nest syndrome, as they say. It's funny, because crows make nests. It's a bird joke. It's a joke about birds and motherhood. Get it? Because birds make nests, but moms also do that thing called empty nesting when their kids grow up and leave, and so it's this funny joke. I'm sorry. What? Why do y'all hang out here? This is the peak of my content, y'all. Fucking hell. Alright, your generosity and your kind smile, it just reminds me so much of my own little one. So, I wouldn't mind if you wanted to come back again. Why, you could come visit me every night if you like. I can make extra dinner to share, and you can help me cook, or read in my library, or play in the yard. It would be like having my own little one back home again. Do you like that idea? Yeah, I really like that idea. Wonderful. Well then, let me ask you one last thing. What is your name? Oh, I'm Rio. What about you? I'm Venna, but you can call me Mom. Mommy? Sorry. Dear Journal. Dad got you for me a while ago, but I never used you. Not that I didn't want to, I just didn't have anything exciting to be writing about. Surprise, Emmy's here. But now I do. The witch that people say lives in the woods, I met her. And, well, she's my mom now. During the day, I help on the farm and spend time with Dad. Guest art! But when it's night... Ah! I like it. It's cute. I sneak out into the woods and visit Mom. I really like it. I help her around the house like I do with the farm, but it doesn't feel like a chore. She always has new stuff to find. Like, the first time I went there, I found... Oh! Well, here's the inside. Please forgive the mess. I'm not used to, well, any company at all. Had I known I'd be having a guest, I would have tidied up a bit. I think it looks great in here. Reminds me of home. Well, I'm happy to hear it. Hold on, I am gonna screenshot this real fast. Just so I have a picture of this lady for later. Definitely not already trying to plan a cosplay or anything. Feathered. Get it? Because the birds have feathers and she's like a crow lady and it's great. Hi, I am strictly an arcade kitten cosplayer now. It's fine. Only arcade kitten characters here on out. It's fine. Gah! Ain't it fine? Here, I'll prepare some snacks for us. Feel free to look around. You can eat, correct? Being made of straw and all. I think so? I never really tried it yet. Right. It's true, it's true. It's true, I'm halfway there. Apparently we'll sub for any villain with great hair. Facts, though. Facts, though. But, who's to say she's a villain yet? We have no proof of this. We have no proof of this. I guess we'll see. Make yourself at home. But also, I'm just weak for good hair. I am gonna save again. A wooden box full of unknown contents. There doesn't appear to be any kind of way to open it. I'm gonna keep looking at them. Okay. It is... I mean... It was one of the big factors with Reggie, was just the very good hair. A wooden box full of unknown contents. Wait, it's all, okay. That's all the same. That's fine. Not only. He also just gave off those serial killer vibes, which, you know, makes me go weak in the knees. Oh, that's my cauldron. Venna couldn't reach. Okay, no, I'm not saying Venna's perfect in every way like Reggie is perfect in every way, but Venna's pretty fucking great already. Okay, okay. Look, she's got a cauldron. How bad can she be? It can be used to brew potions and other things, but lately I just use it to make soup for dinner. Child soup? Good soup. An old sack of hay. I do mean mom. I do mean mom. You're right. I mean mom. Mommy? Tall bookshelf filled with books. Books seem to be about spells, potions, and similar magical things. Is that a scratch on the wall? I didn't actually want to go in there. Hold on. Can't comment on it, but I see it there, and it's not on the other side. An old sack of hay. Cabinet full of ordinary household items. I am going to be looking at everything. Don't think I won't. What's in here? That's my bedroom. I'd let you look, but there honestly isn't much to look at. Just my bed, really. Okay. Painting is somewhat next to a tree. It's an old storage room. I'd let you look inside, but I don't want you to get hurt. I have a lot of garden tools and heavy furniture. I'd like to clean it out before I let you in, if that's alright. Makes sense. Painting of a crow! Door is a different color from the rest. Yes, that was my old son's room. Door broke one day and we had to replace it. Bloodwood gives it such a nice red color, does it not? I'd let you in, but I'm afraid it's locked. Lost the key myself a long time ago. There's nothing important there anymore, so it's not a big deal. Are you sure, Mom? Mom, are you sure? Cabinet full of ordinary household items. This one in particular seems to be full of bathroom supplies. Is this the bathroom? Scratches everywhere. Stout bathroom sink resting in front of a dusty mirror. Both the cold and warm water run fine. Bathroom supplies. More bathroom supplies. Even more bathroom supplies. An old toilet. You don't have to go. Good. An old bathtub. I wouldn't want to have to figure out how to use the restroom as a scarecrow. Sounds very complicated. Okay, what is in here? An open book sitting atop a drawer. Reading it, it says, "To read and to write is a powerful tool that should not be overlooked. There is so much in words. There is power in words. But power is not all. There is sadness in words. There is joy in words. There is fear in words. And there is comfort in words. There is sadness in the voice of my beloved, telling me their feelings have vanished. There is joy in the cards I received for my birthday, reminding me how much my friends care for me. There is fear in the sign that tells me, danger, beware. And yet I always find comfort in the yellowed pages of a book." Grandfather clock? It's missing its hands. Useless clock. I would like to sit. cannot sit. Cabinet full of ordinary household items. Lit candle. Okay. What are you? Tall cabinet sits here. It's way too tall to reach the top without some kind of assistance. Where is there a stool? I do see that chair over there. Also, pile of old haystacks. What's this? I found a big pile of haystacks sitting in front of something on the floor. I wanted to get a closer look, but before I could, I heard Moss say, Rio, I finished preparing everything. Come sit with me. Oh, I'll be right there. So I went to go eat with her. But I wanted to push the chair in front of the thing. That's fine. Well, I hope you like apples. She's listening to his mom now! They're in season right now, so I have a lot stored up. Wow, these taste delicious. Now I can push nothing. They're cut with the care of a mother. I love it. Wow, these taste delicious. Thank you, Mom? Sorry, I'm not used to saying that. I'm sure. I know it's certainly been a while since I heard it. It feels nice. All my friends have moms, you know, and I never thought that one day I'd get to have one of my own. I understand. I never thought I'd be able to have a child again, and yet here we are. Travis, no. You know, I should introduce you to Dad too. But, I'd have to figure out a way to do it without telling him I snuck out at night. He always told me the time could be really dangerous. But look at me now! Out at night and totally fine. Father is right to be concerned, you know. There are many dangerous things in the night, and even more so out in the woods. Really? Then why do you live here? Because I'm stronger than all of them combined. Really? You must be a super powerful witch then. You flatter me. But I don't think so. Strong enough to handle the things that go bump in the night, but not as strong as I'd like to be. How strong do you want to be? Because, like, my dad's a pretty strong witch too. He brought me to life after all. I can see that. If you want, I can ask him how he did it. Then I could tell you, and you could get as strong as he is. That's sweet, but I think I'll be okay. I have my own plan to get strong, and it won't be too much longer before I can see it through. Hey, Devo. Hey, buddy. Well done. Little crybaby. If you say so, I guess. But if you change your mind later, let me know. I will. Or will do. Excuse me. Hold on a second. Got it. There's been a fly in here. All dang day. Trash can. And I finally got him. I sat and finished the rest of my apples with her, and then I went home. She said she'd try to be more prepared for my next visit. The next time I visited her, I asked her about... That didn't work either. I'll never be able to make this potion. Sure you can. It isn't that hard. Why don't you try again? If you're feeling confused, you can always ask me for help. Okay. Okay, but before I do that... Ivana, I got something I want to look at, alright? Chair. Chair! Please, chair! You're a monster. Tall cabinet sits here. Actual monster. Still don't get it. What order do I put the ingredients in? Really isn't that complicated. You just have to remember a few simple steps. It's hemlock root before cobwebs. Cobwebs come before water lily. Hemlock root comes after brown caps. Mom! Where's my pad of paper? Hemlock root before cobwebs. Cobwebs before water lily. So brown caps, hemlock, cobweb, water lily. I'm gonna write that down. Could have just shorthanded all that, but I didn't. Hemlock root is also— oh, fucking hell. Hemlock root is also before brimstone, and brimstone comes before cobwebs and water lily. Oh, and of course you need to put thistle in before everything else. Okay, so thistle, brown cap, hemlock, brimstone, cobweb, water lily. Thistle, brown cap, hemlock, brimstone, cobweb, water lilies. See, that's not too hard to remember, is it? Venna! Kinda? What ingredients we put in first? Thistle. Brown cap. Maybe you just need to kick— You can't ask the Scarecrow to remember anything. If the Wizard of Oz taught us anything, it's that we ain't got a brain. I have also only put in 2 ingredients. I've lost track of what I was doing. Hemlock? That wasn't it. Okay, hold on a second. Thistle. Brown cap. Hemlock. Brimstone. Oh, cobweb. I got good. Hey, I think I did it. See, I told you it was easy. I told you it was easy. You'll be an expert potion maker in no time, just like your mother. I got good. You think so? I made some potions with Dad in the past, but he'd always only let me make really specific recipes. I think he doesn't think I'm ready for the more advanced stuff yet. How silly. At this rate, you'll be an expert in no time. Come over here now. Help me with these potatoes for dinner. Hope you don't mind that dinner has only been fruit and vegetables lately. It's hard getting good meat out here. And I usually try to preserve what I can find for a special occasion. I don't mind. I actually like salads and stuff a lot. Children don't wander into the forest near as often as they used to. Ben? I mean, Mom? Yes? Can I ask you something? Of course, go ahead. There's a lot of scarecrows back in town. I was told it was to keep you away. Mm-hmm. But I'm a scarecrow. Do I, like, hurt you or something? Oh, no, dear. It's true that the scarecrows keep me away, but you're just one little scarecrow. Such a polite one, too. With a smile only someone as cute as you could pull off. You're nothing I can't handle. Mom. Mom. Hey, Mom. Hey, Mom. But the amount of scarecrows in your town, my, it's just nauseating. Feels like every home must have 1 or 2 sitting outside. Can't stay around that many scarecrows for so long. I'd get terribly sick. I'd collapse. See, don't give me that look. Like I said, I can handle a little scarecrow like you. But I want you to be able to see everyone in town too. I'm sorry, Rio, but I think it's clear that they don't like, or they don't want people like me there. Crows? Crows. We're gonna take down all the scarecrows, aren't we? I feel really bad about that. I'm sure the townspeople would like Mom if they got to know her. Maybe I can convince them to take all the scarecrows down. Then they'd see she's not bad at all. She even saved me from the nightmare I had. Journal, I'm not sure if I should write about it. I hear that writing things down can make you remember them better. But Something happened last night. I had a nightmare. I think... I don't know what else it could have been. Even Mom said I must have just been sleepwalking. But it felt so real and so scary. Can't stop thinking about it, even after she told me it wasn't real. She just admitted to eating children. I mean... It all started last night. I was getting ready to come back home and sleep until morning like I always do, but... It's raining? Oh my, it sounds like quite the heavy storm. Mama, what do I do? Scarecrows get all soppy in the brain. How am I gonna get home? Well, I'm not sure if you can in that case. You can stay here, though, if you need to. Cleaned out the storage room to remove anything dangerous, and there's an old bed in there, too. But what about my dad? Right, convenient. I'm always in bed in the morning. If he sees I'm not home, he's gonna freak out. I'll get in so much trouble. I see. How does this sound, then? Sleep here for tonight, and right before the sun rises, I'll come and wake you. Then you can run along home before your dad wakes up. We're gonna look like a real boy come morning time, and Venna's gonna eat us. And honestly, I'd let her. I love Rio. He's adorable and cute and precious, but I'd let Crow Mommy eat me. Does that sound okay to you? I guess so. You promise to wake me up on time? I promise. And you'll also tuck me in? Of course. Mom took me into the storage room. It was a bit cramped and there wasn't any windows, but there was a bed there and it felt warm and cozy. She told me she would come back to wake me up in the morning. Then she left and I went to bed. And then it started. Huh? Oh shoot, my lantern! But that scream! What was that? Mom? Time to save. Gray has a large crack in it. It seems like it could open, but not with your bare hands. Maybe you had something to pry it open. That you just shattered. You don't want to get too close to the broken glass. It's not gonna hurt us, buddy. Full of unknown contents. That doesn't appear to be any kind of way to open it. Thank you, Travis. That picture has changed. This painting looks different from before. So did this one. There's a piece of paper on the ground. She found my old writing. She hid them from me, so I can't look at them anymore. Spooky house time. She warned me not to do it again. Joke's on you, old hag. I'm already smarter than you think. Cabinet full of ordinary house items. Right? Moobot comes in with those good timed content warnings every so often. I'm proud of it. An old sack of hay. Old sack of hay is gonna turn into an old sack of meat pretty quick. Bathroom supplies. I should check on Mom first. But what if I want to check everything else first? Mom will be fine. Empty cauldron. Kitchen sink, it's spotless. Cabinets are full of normal kitchen supplies, but nothing useful right now. Hiccups. Sorry. Ugh. I mean, I was sure she was in her bedroom, but I want to check everything else first. Door is locked. Gotta check everything else first. Mom? Mom, where are you? It's really dark out, but at least the rain stopped. Is Mom somewhere outside? That scream. I'll go look for her, but I don't think I can get around just from the moonlight alone. I need a lantern, but I broke mine. Maybe Mom has something I could use. Shouldn't be too bad, right? All I really need is a lantern and lamp oil. Locked chest with a pretty golden trim. No idea what could be inside. Then open it! Oh, it's locked. Never mind. I'm an idiot. Book lies on top of the dresser. In it, it reads, "The world can be the way you wish it to be, if you wish for it strongly enough. However, it never hurts to ask for a little outside help. Feed your wishes to the gods, and they will feed you in return." Tall bookshelf filled with books. Books seem to be about spells, potions, and similar magical things. Large bed. It's empty. Mom! Hey, Mom! Right? Just open it. I'm just not trying hard enough, honestly. Nothing in there. I really just gotta, like, pry the locked chest open. Normal kitchen supplies. Kayshurrr. Rude. Excuse you. Can I push you yet? I'm gonna keep trying. I'm going to continue to try to push that dang thing. Or... Tall cabinet sits here. It's way too tall to reach the top without some kind of assistance. But that kind of looks like oil, if you ask me. Pile of old haystacks. Filled with books. Books have titles you can't pronounce and the words inside are no different. That's all the same. Well, we've seen that text before. I will check every one of these. There's writing here! The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Someone just repeated a sentence over and over again in this book. Gotta practice all their letters. Trying out every single font. Quick brown fox really did jump over the lazy... Wait. Wait. Okay. Alright. I don't think there's anything in here. I'm still gonna check, though. Opening it up, it seems more like a journal with lined spaces to write in. There's writing here. My name is Ingram. 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 Someone has written their name here multiple times over. Tall bookshelf filled with books. Quick brown cat jumped over the lazy table? Is that how that works? Bright yellow book rests atop the shelf. Opening it up, it seems more like a journal with lined spaces. Writing here. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm not gonna... I'm not gonna do it. The alphabet seems to be written over and over in a variety of different ways. We all gotta live in a library sometimes. It's fine. Wait, was that about plants? Books seem to be about nature, plant studies, and other things focused around the world you live in. Okay. Alright. Grandfather clock, it's missing his hands. Yeah, we know that. Can we... Bathroom supplies... No way to open it. Allie, you're getting called out. You need to go home. You need to go home. Allie, have you considered going home? Yes, Arcade? Yes? Said, I'm gonna look at everything. Okay, if it means you're not gonna work this weekend. This is one of the joys of not paying attention to what's going on. You gotta go home. Have you considered going home? Empty cauldron. Bathroom supplies. Am I just blind? Very well could just be blind. Door is still locked. Sometimes I get so distracted with talking that, what? I've missed something. Doesn't appear to be any way to open it. I need assistance. Sometimes, look. We've read this. This is power is not all. Yeah, no, I've read this. Scarecrow assistant at your service. All I want in life is to do that. Okay. Alright. You know what? No. Look, we're gonna look at everything, but I gotta do it in a vaguely systematic sort of way. Alright? Alright? Wooden chair with wobbly leg. Table with a white tablecloth. Looks well kept. All of her chairs are wobbly, and that's not great. It is very dark. Normal kitchen supplies. I'm gonna do it. We're doing it. Sink is spotless. You're gonna do it great, Allie. You got this. I have faith in you. Capsule for... yeah. Old sack of hay. Do you like the counter space because there is actual counter space? No way to open it. No way to open it. Okay, that's everything down here. Because I can't look at the candles. Counter space. You can tell it's a chat full of adults. Because we're all like, counter space. Run the water, yes. Switch temperature, hot. The mirror has fogged up. 6428. 6428. I gotta keep those numbers away from my Darkwood numbers. We'll call it a love letter to Cat Lady. It's fine. It's fine. And then there's a house with all the counter space. Only counter space. What's this? A knife? I can take it with me, I guess, but I'll need to be really careful holding it. A knife! Sorry, wanton destruction. It's very good. Door is locked. I have ruined all of Mom's things. Okay. A child. There were haystacks in the library, but I just want to check to see if I can get something to pry it open. Okay, we cannot use the knife to pry open the box. I will say, can't redeem both sets. You just gotta mention it, and I'll do it. A child. Hella. There's a trapdoor in the floor here. I wonder where it goes. Can't get it open though. It's locked. Oh wait, there's a spot to input numbers. Not me getting numbers before I know where to put them. Do I know what numbers go in there? Yes, you do. I had to double check. 6, 4, 2. Is that a 5 or an 8? That's an 8, right? Not me not being able to read my fucking numbers. Not 69, 420! Hi, Fruity. There we go! I should save. Also, creepy picture in the background. Hi, creepy picture. Its eyes are definitely gonna follow me. Ah, there they go! Saw him. Saw him change. See? Oh! Oh! Whoa! Is that an Ebe callback? May not be. I might just see paintings in video games and be like, Ebe! Came out of hiding. I know you've been lurking, and that's fine and acceptable. But you had to come out for that, and I get it. Tall bookshelf filled with books, titles you can't pronounce, words inside are no different. Cabinet full of ordinary household items. Same thing. Bright yellow book rests atop the shelf. Opening it up, it looks like more like a journal with lined... there's writing here. Library! Library. Library. Miss B works at the library. It's like, have you seen the meme format of, like, the killer walking through the house and then he stops and then he, like, shouts something out and the person, like, says it in return? It's a call and response thing. I've seen one for, the band The Cure. You haven't? I'll have to send one. There's one for The Cure where the killer's, like, running through the house and he stops and he goes, "It's Friday!" And the person that's hiding from this goes, "I'm in love!" And then they're like, shit! I'll have to find it, because it's a very good meme format. Very good. Miss B is a librarian. Miss B teaches kids how to read and how to write. I wish Miss B was my mom. Aww. Not a lonely child. This painting is so lifelike, it feels like its eyes are following you around the room. Baby, that's because they are. What's in here? Potions. Cauldron swirls with something red. It smells terrible. It's probably blood. Ugh, even Dad's worst potions don't smell this bad. What kind of potion is this? The bad kind. Shelves are filled with strange magical ingredients and vials. Looks familiar to Dad, or it looks familiar to stuff Dad has back at home, and yet I've never seen some of the things here before. I mean, that's a valid response, honestly. Shelves are filled with strange magical ingredients and vials. It looks familiar, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, same text. That's fine. I gotta check. Okay. Door is locked. Looking closer, there's small text on the door. It reads, "Do you have the time?" I don't have the time. I don't have the time. Nope, that wasn't it. I know it's not midnight. I gotta find the clock hands, put them on the grandfather clock, figure everything out. Oh no. Oh, 420. Blaze it! I do like that I have a knife and I can just cut everything. I will be going everywhere. Did I not say? Did I not say? Bag full of blood. This piece of paper on the ground. No one is safe traveling in the woods. Not as long as she's here. They're all doomed the moment they set foot into the forest. Set up signs to warn them. I don't know if she knows I'm the one who's doing it. Even with warnings, it's still too late for some of them. I at least find solace in believing their ghosts will haunt her forever. A sachet of ketchup. It's not a bag full of blood. It's okay, excuse me. It's a sack full of blood. It's a sack full of blood. Blood sacks. Everywhere. Blood sack! I said what I said. I like that not all of them are blood sacks. a good sound, though. I know that this is the proper way and all that. But... we like the noise. It's good noise. Drawer, is there something inside? Whoa, a crowbar! It's kind of small, though. Can I use this anywhere? Yeah, you fucking can. We're not gonna go through... We're not gonna... I assume that's a hatch. A crowbar! Me making dumb sounds, dumb references, dumb jokes. Jokes for days. It's not a hatch, you swear? Doubt. I'm not gonna go through it yet, because if only I had something to pry this open with. What are these things? It's an item. Oh, it's an item. Okay. These clock hands? Then these must go... Okay. It's just, it's me just panicking. I've already, like, recently in the last couple of days, like, thought that I've done things in games where I'm like, this is a good thing to do. It's not gonna bring about the end of a game, or... That's not what I wanted to do. I don't have the time yet, game. Or anything like that. I just didn't wanna lock myself out and going back. I'm something. I mean... That makes me feel like you're gonna get chased. I mean... Probably. Oh, it's a chest. I see. I do see it. I do see it now. Ladder. We're gonna use this. No idea yet, buddy, but we'll figure it out. Not a chest. It's an item. Devo, no. Hiding from serial killer from Know Your Meme posted to stream spoiler discussion. Thank you, Travis. I will still find my Kayshurrr version of it, because that's how you would get me, honestly. Hey, Grandpa, I got something for ya. Clock's hands magically move himself into place. The time reads 12:05. Doesn't seem right, but I'm also not about to argue with the clock. You should. You should definitely argue with the clock. I don't need a ladder out here. Oh, yes I do. Yeah, wait, I can use the ladder here. Got! There's the lamp oil. Now I just need to find the lantern to go with it. You're still rude for having put this here. I'm just gonna say this now. Rude. Rude. That's the wrong door. It's this door. We want this door. Okay. I'm just going to save all the way down. Sometimes chairs just always have to get pushed. The time is 12:05. Not 04! I appreciate that you keep my numbers in there. Sometimes chairs gotta get pushed! I don't make the rules, I'm sorry. One box full of unknown contents, there doesn't appear to be any kind of way to open it. Gotta look at the book first. There's a book on the dresser. Seems to be some kind of recipe book. It reads 2,678 bones. This feels kind of important. Hold on a second. That is a lot of bones. That's like 100 people's worth of bones. Arcade. We gotta talk about the normal amount of bones inside a people. Measures about 13 in total. Does a pug have bones? Does it have bones today? Does it have bones today? You're not supposed to have that many bones? You're not supposed to have that many bones. I'm sorry to break it to you. That is too many bones. Very important daily question. It is a very important daily question. Does the dog have bones today? Does the pug have bones? You can always add more and drink whatever is left over. Shelves are filled with strange magical ingredients and vials. Are we counting the ribs and fingers we lost earlier? Yes. I have to sneeze. Excuse me. Ugh. That's fair. You can also get the game on itch and support arcade. But good night, Sarah. Sleep well. Thanks for hanging out. And thank you for the raid earlier. I don't know why I'm still whispering. Yeah, lantern. Now I can use this lantern. And then I'll go look for Mom outside. Oh right, that's what we were supposed to do. Also, thank you. Oh! Skull sits in the chair, though you can't recall seeing it in this room before. That's because it wasn't there. Shadow monster left it there. Plus 1 bone. We just need 2,677 more. Something about the painting seems different from before. Maybe you just couldn't see it well in the dark. Hey, friend. I am definitely gonna go back and check things out. 5 or 7? 5? Nothing new in here. I didn't think so, but it was worth a look. These are facts we need to know. It will show up later in the game. You gotta know. Hi, Devo. Ooh! Ma! Again, just backtracking a little bit. Seeing if we put anything weird someplace. Always be extra. Never don't be extra, basically. Hi, Devo. No. You do got extra bones in your body. They're not bones yet, though. It's still just like cartilage, right? You will have extra bones. I should have saved. So you got extra marrow, just not the full bone yet. It's okay. Don't freak yourself out. It's gonna be fine. Mom said herself that she was strong enough to handle anything out in the woods. So I'm sure she's okay. Let's go. She didn't need that heart. Ah! Rio? Ah! Rio? Devo? Travis, it sounds like you should go bring Allie some pizza. Just saying. Rio, what's wrong? Are you alright? There's what? Outside! There's... Dead! Someone's dead outside, Mom! Pardon? Come here. Sweet screamy child. Hey. Everything is fine. I know I mentioned outside, but it's fine. Devo, it's fine. You're fine. I can't believe this! Devo, it's fine. You're okay. I'm getting fur in my mouth. Devo. Hey. Hey. Thank you for the licks. My hand needed that. I'm gonna set you back down and you're gonna stop screaming now, okay? Okay. Get out of here, child. Mwah. Mwah. Devo's something. She's on the tree and she's all bloody and she's not moving and I think she was attacked. I heard a scream and I thought it was you and I got scared so I tried to find you and... Calm down, Rio. Let me see. Comforting us witnessing after witnessing a murder. Yeah, that's what Devo's good for. She's gonna be like, there's nothing there. Yeah. Rio, there's no one out there. Huh? But she... Come look. Okay. It was just like she told me. There was no one out there. It was just the forest. But how can that be? She was right there. I saw her. Is it possible you were just seeing things? There isn't a body, then it was a ghost. Was it?
Indie night. Indie night.
Hi, Sam. How's it going, friend? How are you doing? Huh? You said you heard a scream earlier, right? Kimworld gets very hyped sometimes. It's very good. Thank you for getting the shout out there, Allie. But yeah, how's it going, Sam? Thank you for the bits, friend. I didn't hear anything all night. But I think maybe you were just sleepwalking. Sleepwalking? Probably just had a nightmare and snuck on over here in your sleep. It's probably from all the stress. You wanted to go home to your dad, didn't you? Right. I suppose it's only natural to be afraid staying here. Silly me, trying to be a mother again. Not fit to be a mom anymore, am I? New apartment, new apartment, new apartment. I also like the sound of the text progressing. My favorite bit is still the little crow at the bottom of the text box. But that's exciting! Right though? Sam, that's what I'm saying. Arcade's over here like, you're not gonna like her. She's super evil. She's not great. And I'm just like, Crow Mom can eat me. That's fine. Fucking take me out, Crow Mom. In whatever way you see fit. No, don't say that. I love coming over and spending time with you. I think you're right. I was just having a nightmare. You know, it isn't raining anymore. And the sun is supposed to rise soon. I can only take you up to the bridge, but would you like me to walk you home? Yeah, I really like that. Thanks, Mom. Oh my goodness. She walked me home and everything felt normal again. I went to bed, woke up, and saw Dad in the morning like normal. I guess it really was just a bad nightmare. But I never had nightmares like that before. Dear Journal, I'm gonna visit her again tonight. I have to, because I won't be able to see her tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is the Harvest Festival. It technically starts at midnight tonight, but we always wait until the next night to have this actual celebration festival part. On Harvest Night, you're supposed to spend time with loved ones or whatever, and then you start the actual Harvest Festival on the night that follows. I want to go to the festival! The festival, the festival! Again, you just gotta start it, and I will fucking finish it. I think it's silly, but I don't know how holidays are always kind of weird. I don't know. Holidays are always kind of weird. I know my nose is all stuffy and runny again. I'm so sorry, y'all. Okay. I already spent the day with Dad, and now I'll spend the night with Mom. So I'm glad in that way. I can still kind of celebrate with her, too. Let's go! I should save. Gotta remember to save. Also, that's Haley. We like the outside scarecrow. She looks kind of mad right now, though. Haley looks saddened. I'll be back soon, Haley. You know, we'd include you in all our Harvest Festival activities, right? That's Haley. New Yorker Crow, how's it going? Hey, you're back! You cosplay Haley, I'll go as Venna, it'll be perfect. Do it. I haven't seen you in a while. I know what you're looking for, kid. You want something subversive, right? Everyone talks about an evil witch in the woods, so you wanted to befriend her and prove them wrong, right? And then it turns out that it's all one big misunderstanding. She was a good witch after all. Or maybe she was bad and it just took the kindness of someone else to make her better. That's what all the storybooks teach you, right? Tough luck, kid! Doesn't work like that in the real world. Sometimes people are just evil and there's no helping it. And all the second chances in the world won't make a difference. I keep saying this kind of stuff, but I don't understand. Ever since I met her, she's been nice to me. She helped me get back home, she cooks me dinner, she teaches me stuff. And what do you do for her in the return? Huh? No good favor goes unreturned. It's gonna make you pay her back for those favors one way or another. I love this crow. And I don't think you'll be ready for when that happens. Is the crow one of her victims? I've given you the extent of my help. Whatever comes next, hope it works out in your favor. But I don't think I can stick around to see it. Goodbye, and good luck. Bye, Crow. I love you. Mom, I'm here. Sorry if I was late. Happy Harvest Night. Happy Harvest Night to you, too. And no worries, you're right on time. I'm still getting dinner ready. I'm almost finished, though. So you can play around for a bit if you like, or just sit at the table and let me know when you're ready to eat. I love you too, Crow. Sit at the table when you're ready for dinner. I'm never ready for dinner. Let me into your dead kid's room. I need to see the corpse of your child. Because assumably it's still in there. I need to stop using the crow voice. Wrong crow. Nah, all crow, good crow. Wooden box full of unknown contents. There doesn't appear to be any kind of way to open it. But also, she put it over the dang hatch. She put it over the dang hatch. Mom doesn't want me seeing what's under the floor anymore. Mom. Thanks. It's also ad quote. Exclamation point ad quote. There you go. There you go. Good times. They're very good. I guess I'll sit down. I don't want to yet, though. Can I go outside? Don't have to leave right now. I don't have to. You're correct, game, but I would like to. They all run fine. Bathtub, toilet, I don't gotta go. Do it to be the way you wish it? Yeah. That's all the same. I can look at this now. Cabinet full of ordinary household items. It's nothing. I guess we'll... Okay. So, are you excited for the Harvest Festival tomorrow? It's actually going to be the first one I'm allowed to attend. Even my friends are going to be there. Sounds fun. Hey, are you okay? Oh yes, I was just thinking that one day I would like to be able to attend to. I'm sure we can make that happen. I mean, once everyone in town realizes that you don't mean any harm and stuff... Yes, maybe one day. Still, though, I'd like to contribute to the festival, somehow, some way. So I made something for it. Oh? What's this? This vial. The liquid inside looks like the red stuff from the cauldron I saw the other night. It smelled awful. The town. There's a statue in the center, right? Of a goddess holding a chalice? Do you think you can pour this vial into the chalice she holds? It's a good luck charm. I made it to ensure a wonderful harvest season for everyone. Oh, I don't know. I mean, tonight the chalice is gonna fill up with moonlight, and it's supposed to have the same effect. Plus, I'm not supposed to touch the statue, really. It's considered very sacred, and, if I touch it, I could get in trouble for, vandalisms and stuff. Please, Rio? I spent a long time on it, and it'd really mean a lot to me. You don't even have to come back after you do it. You can just go to bed at home. It really isn't a big deal, you know? I doubt you would get in that much trouble. And I've done so much for you, haven't I? Can't you do this one favor? For me? For your mother? After all she's done for you? Ooh, Mom. No! No, I wanted to say! Fucking hell! No, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Pardon me? It wouldn't be right, at least not without asking first. I wanted to save! What you gonna do? What you gonna do? I was gonna take it, but I wanted to say I had saved not too terribly long ago. It's fine. I was always taught to respect the goddess's statue, and that the only drink allowed in the chalice is moonlight. Yeah. Really? After everything I've done for you? Fed you, I housed you, I taught you, and this is how you repay me? As if I owed you any of those things to begin with? I know, and I'm sorry, Mom. Yeah, Venna. Hey, honey, back up. Back the fuck up. I can't do it. Then you cannot be my child. Okay. Mom. I'm gonna have to run, aren't I? Shit. You did try and warn me. Dad? I mean, we all knew it was gonna be bad. Oh, we're missing our legs! Our legs are gone! Dad? Rio? Is that you? Goodness, Rio! Dad! Oh, sorry, that was terrible! It's like we're just like Rune now! We're gonna have to learn levitation magic. It's fine! We're gonna be a cool kid, it's fine! Brain. Rio, how did this happen? Your legs, they're... Dad, she's... Be quiet, Rio. It's okay now. As for you... Okay, but she looks dope as fuck. Stay away from my son. Ma'am. Dad. That magic, it was supposed to be for the festival. What are you talking about? The festival? Oh, Rio, don't worry about silly fireworks. More important than anything like that. Rio, how do you feel? I'm okay, Dad. I can't feel anything. It doesn't hurt. That's good. That's good. I'm... fucking hell, Travis, really? Alright, which one you want? Crazy Clown? You want Crazy Clown? I can do Crazy Clown. Actual monster.
Is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Should probably set the timer. Hold on a second. Oh boy. Timer dinner set. I am a little scared, though. What's gonna happen when the sun comes back up? Oh, shit. It won't. I'll make sure it doesn't. Don't be silly to this little face. There's no way you could do that. Nonsense. I'll drown this world in darkness if it means keeping you safe. Dad? What should I do? You don't have to do anything. If I sleep, will I be okay? Yes. You will be. I'll make sure of it. Okay. Then I think I want to go to bed now. Yes, that's alright. Good night, Rio. I love you. You'll see me in the morning. I don't think you will. The sun will come out tomorrow. Okay, look, we got 45 minutes until the end of the stream. Should we just try and get the other two endings? We'll just get the other two endings and like save at the proper time this time. Do you want me to read this again with the voice, or do we want to continue on? I'm gonna continue on. We're just gonna continue on. You want something subversive, kid? I've given you the extent of my help. Let's go, let's go. Goodbye and good luck. I love you, Crow. Still love you, Crow. Mom, I'm here. Sorry if I was late. Happy Harvest Night. Okay, hold on. We just gotta get to the choices, that's all. That's all. There we go. No, you know what? Nope. Nope. We're gonna do it one more time. Just, just to make sure. Sit at the table when you're ready. Alright, let's sit at the table. Sit down. Sit down. Let's just sit down. So are you excited for the Harvest Festival tomorrow? Mm-hmm. It's actually gonna be the first one I'm allowed to attend. Even my friends are gonna be there. Sounds fun. Uh-oh. Hey, are you okay? Oh, yes. I was just thinking that one day I would like to be able to attend to. I'm sure we can make that happen. I mean, once everyone in town realizes that you don't mean any harm and stuff. Yes, maybe one day. Excuse me. Still, though, I'd like to contribute to the festival somehow, some way. So I made something for you. Oh? It's this. Wow, the liquid inside looks like the red stuff from the cauldron I saw the other night. It smelled awful. The town. There's a statue in the center, right? With a goddess holding a chalice. Do you think you can pour this vial into the chalice she holds? It's a good luck charm. I made it to ensure a wonderful harvest season for everyone. Oh, I don't know. I mean, tonight the chalice is gonna fill up with moonlight, and it's supposed to have the same effect. Plus, I'm not supposed to touch the statue, really. It's considered very, very sacred, and if I touch it, I could get in trouble for vandalisms and stuff. Please, Rio. Spent a long time on it, and it really mean a lot to me. Don't even have to come back after you do it. You could just go to bed at home. It really isn't a big deal, you know. I doubt you would get in that much trouble. And I've done so much for you, haven't I? Can't you do this one favor for me? For your mother, after all she's done for you. What will you do? Take the vial. Yeah, of course I'll do it. I mean, it's just a good luck charm, right? There shouldn't be any harm in it. Maybe it'll even bring us extra luck this harvest season. And we'll get giant pumpkins. Oh, I knew I could count on you. Go now. You should fill it before midnight tonight. I know the results will be so wonderful, I'll be able to see them from here. I promise you. Go on then. I'm so excited. Okay. Okay. No one's out here. All I gotta do is climb up on the statue, pour this in, then I'll just go home like she told me. No, it's nothing bad, but still feel nervous about it. And this, I assume, is where we get the other two endings. It's two bad endings, one good ending, one good/true ending, right? Also, Emmy wasn't here earlier, but it's my bakery. And also, Terry's got a shop. and it's adorable and precious, and I love it. Voice mod done. All done, voice mod. Voice mod all done.
All done, voice mod. Oh! I suppose I should be clicked in here when we do this. Okay. So we could probably just go home and not do anything. Probably get a good ending that way. And then do the thing and kill everyone. But be with Mom! Statue looms above you. Somehow her pose doesn't seem as jovial as it usually does. Sam. Hey, Sam. You get text and said, makes sense. Makes sense. It's all good. Hey, Sam.
You're a fucking monster. You're a goddamn monster. Hello, Miss, Luciana. I've got a drink for you. Climbed upon the statue and filled the chalice. There you go. It was a present from my mom, so I hope you like it. I'll see you again later for the Harvest Festival. Good morning! Huh? Is it still nighttime? Why haven't I changed back? Dad? Dad, are you home? Where are you? Ooh! Huh? What is all this? And what happened to the farm? The sky... What's going on? I gotta go to town. I gotta find someone. I gotta find Dad. Haley, no! Blood surrounds the grass near Haley's base. Her face is missing. Her body appears weirdly fleshy. Haley, what happened? Ah, but look at the pumpkins! But look at the dang pumpkins! Bucket of something. We gotta look at him. Tiny pumpkin not ready to be picked yet. Sam is a monster. It's true. Oh no! There shouldn't be bodies in the window. We gotta look at all the plots. But you have the haunting feeling you don't really want to go inside anyway. Is that what it says for all of them? Hi, Mom. I'll talk to you in a minute, Mom. I gotta look at stuff real fast. Not great. Do you like my laugh with the baby sounds? I'm sorry. I guess I should look at the scarecrows as well. Scarecrow's face is dripping with a red substance. Its body appears strangely fleshy. I am a chipmunk. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I am a chipmunk. Boo-doo-doo-doo. The goddess is covered in what appears to be blood. The inscription on the plaque has changed. It reads, "You have fed the goddess your wish. Your wishes for the harvest season. She has delivered upon you the season you wished for. May your harvest be as plentiful as you hoped." Mom, what have you done? Rio, there you are. He's uncomfy. Mom, what's happening? I can't find my dad or anyone. What happens? What happens? The Harvest Festival is happening. A This is what happens to Mom when the harvest happens. Her voice gets pitched up, very, very high. It's, great. It's great. All my waiting has finally paid off, and it's all thanks to you, my beautiful son. The son I deserved all along. I'll be queen of this world. And I guess that makes you my little prince then, doesn't it? What's with that face? Oh, don't look so sad, Rio. I've invited all my friends. They'll be here soon to celebrate with us. And I know they'll want to thank you for the wonderful harvest, too. Yeah? I mean, yeah, I'm here for it. Oh! Can I just leave? But what if I don't? Hold on. Not save. Hold on a second. Did I fuck up? Okay, hold on a second. Lantern's in here. Ah, fuck. 12:05, right? I panicked that I had gone back too far. Apparently, it's fine. Door locks. Okay, so I'm also just gonna read the things that I've already read. Yeah, lantern. And then I'll go look for Mom outside. Shadow person. Get back to the Mona Lisa room. Read the bookshelf on the left. Okay. Cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. Bright yellow book rests atop the shelf. Opening it seems more like a journal with line spaces to write in. Hidden in the fog, in addition to the numbers of the night. Only I could get it right, then I'd be able to unlock it. In the fog. And look at the ooh! Okay. Time reads 6:16. Do I have to enter that? Trying to think of all the different places I can enter numbers, and there's only the one place, right? Oh! Does it need a number? A number code? I thought I needed a key for this. Okay, hold on. Oop. 6:16.
can't say why did no one say anything. Well, it's been about 5 minutes. I'm so sorry. Well, you got baby for a while. I got so distracted setting it back up that I forgot to set a timer. Sam, you monster! Anywho. Whoa, these are way past overdue. There's a note at the bottom of the pile. If you're reading this, and I know you can read this, don't even think about it. Put them back before I burn them. Jeez, okay. Guess I won't be taking any of these. You 100% didn't say anything. Just full of overdue library books. Okay. Cool. It's okay, don't freak yourself out. It's gonna be fine. Mom said herself that she was strong enough to handle anything. Let's go. Let's go. This poor kid. Ah! Ah! This is all the same. Someone's dead outside. She's on the tree and she's all bloody. Devo. Devo. No, it's fine, buddy. You're just fine. Surprise, Allie, it's chilly out. Okay. It was just like she told me. There was no one out there. It was just the forest. But how can that be? She was right there. I saw her. Mom, you're doing that gaslighty thing again? That we don't appreciate. Devo, baby. Hey, sweetheart. You gotta stop. If I don't say anything, he won't cry. Yes, I can keep girl boss. No! I mean, sure, you'll roast in the middle of the day, but at night it's chilly. I'm sorry. Can't help it. It's just how it is here. Okay. Dear Journal, I'm gonna visit her again tonight. I have to, because I won't be able to see her tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is the Harvest Festival. Technically starts at midnight tonight, but we always wait until the next night to have the actual celebration festival part. So spend the time with your loved ones. I think it's silly, but I don't know. Holidays are always kind of weird. Facts, though. Bird friend. Bird friend. Bird friend. Bird friend. We love bird friend. Hey, you're back. I haven't seen you in a while. I know what you're looking for, kid. You want something subversive, right? Everyone talks about an evil witch in the woods, so you wanted to befriend her and prove them wrong, right? And then it turns out that that it's all one big misunderstanding. She was a good witch after all. Or maybe she was bad and it just took the kindness of someone else to make her better. That's what all the storybooks teach you, right? Tough luck, kid. Doesn't work like that in the real world. Sometimes people are just evil and there's no helping it. And all the second chances in the world won't make a difference. I keep saying this kind of stuff, but I don't understand. Ever since I met her, she's been nice to me. She helped me get back home, she cooks me dinner, she teaches me stuff. And what do you do for her in return? Huh? No good favor goes unreturned. She's gonna make you pay her back for those favors one way or another, and I don't think you'll be ready for when that happens. Giving you the extent of my help. Whatever comes next, hope it works out in your favor. But I don't think I can stick around to see it. Goodbye. Good luck. Hey, wait! You dropped something. This is a key. But no, it couldn't possibly go to... Surely the face-eating leopard won't eat my face. Absolutely. Could it? It's the room! It's the room key! Yeah, we gotta go to the room. Let's go. Well, I'm here. Sorry if I was late. Happy Harvest Night! Happy Harvest Night to you too. And no worries. You're right on time. The Woomy. Gotta go to the Woomy. Still getting dinner ready. I'm almost finished, though. So you can play around for a bit if you like, or just sit at the table and let me know when you're ready to eat. Okay, I'm gonna go check out your dead kid's room. Again, gotta see the corpse of your dead kid, because I know it's in here. Well, I don't know that it's in here. I assume it's in here. It's all bad, though. This key, it has to go here, right? Door's unlocked. Bird friend! Hey, you're here! Oh, hi, kid. How'd you get in here? You dropped your key. You got me. This used to be my old room. Did I not call it? I totally called it. Then, does that mean you're Ingram? The person who wrote in those books? Yeah, that's me. So, you were Mom's son? Her, other son? Yeah, I feel like you're coming to this revelation over and over again. Oh, sorry, why are you here? I come by every now and again to collect some old stuff of mine. Not that I had a lot to begin with, but it's not easy to carry things as little as I am right now. You see, well, go ahead and look around, kid. I know you're curious. Wooden box full of unknown contents. There doesn't appear to be any kind of way to open it. An old bed. It's covered in dust. Book. Don't call someone's toxic mom your mom. Right, though. Don't do it. An old journal sits on the floor. I'm gonna give Rio a pass because they're 10. They're baby. They don't understand how anything works. Bird's gonna teach them, though. Burb Ingram gonna teach them. It's gonna be great. An old journal sits on the floor. Am I allowed to read this? Go ahead. Might even be better if you do. Winter. Hasn't snowed yet. That makes me happy. I'm not gonna read this in the crow's voice. Means that I can keep going into town. I used to hate going into town because of all the scarecrows. Honestly, they still freak me out. It's like they're peering into me, drilling their eyes into my very being. They know I don't belong, but despite that, they don't make me feel sick. Not at all. Not like they do to you. Guess that's why you make me go to town instead, huh? Nah, I think even if they did make me sick, you'd force me to go anyways. Spring. I saw Miss B for the first time in a while today. She told me I got so much taller from the last time she saw me. She said she missed seeing me at the library. I was always one of her best students. I learned so quickly. She said she remembered helping me learn to write my name. She started getting a little emotional about it. I did too. Learning how to write was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Even it comes with its own consequences at home. That reminds me, I saw a woman in town get mad at her kid today. Outside the bookstore, he was whining and screaming and making all sorts of noise. She clearly had enough. You could see it in her face. She was mad. But she didn't hit him. Summer. She said I was late coming back from town today. I wasn't. And I brought her everything she needed, so she had no reason to get so angry. But by this point, I understand that she doesn't need a reason to be angry. She'll lock me in the storage room all night for looking at her wrong. I'm sure she thinks it's a punishment, but it's not like my room is that much bigger than the storage room to begin with. She's been getting a lot easier to piss off lately, though. Not sure why, but it worries me. It's the only reason I'm still here. Getting older, it's apparent now more than ever that somebody has to keep an eye on her. If only I were strong enough to do something about it. Autumn. I know what she wants to do now, and I know she'll try to make me do it. I refuse. These are people, not her playthings, and certainly not her food. And they've been more of a family to me than she ever was. Too many times now I listened to her because I was afraid. But this is bigger than me, and I won't let her have her way. I'm not gonna help her do what she wants. This is the last straw. I'm a scarecrow and I'm made of straw. Sorry. I'm running away. Gotta get those goofs in there somewhere. I'm going into town and I'm going to tell everybody about what she's planning. I'm not afraid anymore. I was willing. I do draw the line at abuse, though. That's not cool. Still definitely thinking about doing a cosplay for her, but Little less simpy. You did tell me. You did tell me. You warned me. I was gonna have to find out on my own anyway. It's okay. We're here now, and we realize that Venna is extremely toxic. Not a great, can't say person, but not a great thing. I'm not afraid anymore. Crow friend is pretty great though. Where's the rest of it? What do you mean? There's no rest of it. That's all I wrote. But you talked about how you were gonna run away. What happened after that? What happened? She caught me. That's what happened. That's why I'm stuck like this. She knew I would try to tell everyone, so she cursed me to stay trapped in my bird form forever. I'm way too small to do anything like this. And not a lot of people listen to the warnings of a silly little bird like me. But you still told me. Yeah, because a kid like you needed to hear it the most. With me out of the picture, we're exactly the kind of person she needed. Still, I don't know if I can believe all this. Mom was always so nice, and your curse. Is there any way to reverse it? Yeah, but it ain't that easy. What is it? Maybe I can help. Not unless you're an expert in sawing the arms off grown women. You're talking to the right girl, bird! I mean, listen. Listen. We know me as a person. You tell me not to do something, I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna do it. It's fine. Huh? Only way to reverse this curse is to drink the blood of a family member. Ew. Curse this half-bird child, ungrateful is he. If he wishes to fly away, then only a bird he shall be. Drain the sap and blood from your family tree. Ingest it at once, and only then you'll be free. Never forget it. Hate that stupid dorky rhyme. But she set it up this way, knowing that if I ever got close enough to her to attempt it, she'd crush me easily. Do you want to try some of my straw? It might work. Pardon me? I mean, if she's my mom, and she's your mom, then that makes us brothers. And when I look like this, well, I don't know, kind of seems like every part of me is made of straw. My hair, my blood, heck, probably my bones too. So maybe if you eat some of my straw, it'll work the same way? You joking, right? I mean, it might not work, but isn't it at least worth a try? Or isn't it at least worth trying? It's just straw. The worst that could happen is that you ate some hay. Alright, screw it. Give me a straw. Come on, it isn't that hard to eat. I used to eat leaves all the time before Dad told me to stop. Ah! It worked! I appreciate the fact that this concept of adopted family is... It's good. Also, hey Ingram. Hey buddy. Hey bud. It worked! Holy hell, it worked! Come on, kid, let's get you out of here. I don't... He doesn't need a New Yorker accent. Surprise, the New Yorker accent just came with being a crow. I'm gonna drop it now. I barely held on to it, so... Hey, I can't leave yet. Mama's still waiting for me out there. Ugh, you don't want that woman as your mom, kid. Don't you see that by now? Look what she did to me the second I said no to her. What do you think is gonna happen to you? Stop yelling so much. Even if Mom isn't as nice as I thought, does that really mean I can just leave? Yes. Of course you can. I'm giving you an out right now. Hop out the window and we'll go back to town. Leave this old witch to rot in the woods by herself. But she's waiting for me out there. I should have known you'd be difficult about this. I'm trying to save you from my fate, or hell, even worse. But of course you wouldn't get it. You're just a kid. Yeah, and you're just a teenager. Besides, isn't trying to run away exactly how you got caught? Jeez, kid, alright, I get it. What are you gonna do then? She's gonna ask you to do something out there for her, you know? It's harvest night, and she's been planning for it. If you try to refuse her, I'll figure something out. I'm a smart kid after all. And Mom Maybe it won't be as bad as you think. Don't place your bets on it. I'll be waiting for you outside. Whatever you do, get out that front door safely, alright? Oh, I'm scared. I'm gonna do this so bad. Okay, well, can't I just tell her I'm gonna take the vial and then not do it? Like, we could just lie. We could just lie. I don't think Rio's gonna be up for that, though. I'm gonna do one more quick look around. All our text is the same until the choice. Okay. Okay. Alright. It's down for dinner. I did save, right? Yeah. I'm gonna save again. So, are you excited for the Harvest Festival tomorrow? It's gonna be the first one I'm allowed to go to. I know you said it's all the same, but I just wanna check. It smells awful. The town. There's a statue in the center, right? Of a goddess. You'll do it for me. Spent a long time on it and really mean a lot to me. You don't even have to come back after you do it. It's a big deal, you know. I doubt you would get into much trouble. Can't you do this one favor for me? For your mother, after all she's done for you? Oh. Oh. Sure, I'll take it. Let me just... Oh, I dropped it. I'm so sorry, Mom. It was an accident. But it isn't all bad. I'll just go back home and tell everyone to take the scarecrow down. You dropped it. I know. You dropped it on purpose. Do you think I'm stupid? No, of course I don't. I just... Outrageous. All my children know how to do is disappoint me. Mom. Huh? Nice try. Get out of here, kid! Ingram! No! Don't just sit there, go! I'm gonna take care of it. It's not gonna be fine. You. Look at you doing what you know best. Getting in my way. Always were a disappointment to me, Ingram. Not gonna say anything? Not even to your own mother? I like her wings, though. Can't scare me anymore. It's a real reason you cursed me, isn't it? Because you knew you couldn't scare me anymore. Alright, Mom is very much no longer hot. We don't like manipulators here. And when I'm not scared, I'm stronger than you. We'll see about that. You know, Ingram, despite all the heartache you've caused me, I'm still a parent. The hell? Uh-oh. Oh, no! What are you doing? Get your ugly claws out of my mouth! Did it make you feel better to say that? Are you happy now? Maybe hard for you to see, but I am your mother. Or am a mother, and there's nothing a mother loves more than to see her children happy! So what'd you do your poor old lady some good? Smile for Mommy. Fucking hell! Dad! Jesus, shit! Come on, Dad, wake up! Wake up, my friend needs help! Rio? Is it morning already? Could have sworn... Rio?
But I am your mother.
Mommy? Sorry. Mommy? Sorry. Mommy! Sorry. Hi, Dougie. Thank you for the biddies. How's it going, friend? How are you doing? What is this? You weren't even supposed, or you weren't supposed to. I know, I wasn't supposed to go out at night, and I'm sorry, I'm really, really sorry about it. But my friend, he's in trouble and he needs help. I say that one a lot, Sam. Look. Look. Rune is now top tier choice. All right. I'm sorry that you've thrown a crow woman in front of me, and I can't help it, but now we know. Now it's confirmed that she's not great. And, yeah. It's fine. It's fine. You'll figure it all out, Sam. You got this. She'll bring me things to poison the town. Turn everyone into crops. It's not gonna be great. See, I was excited for all the shiny shit she was gonna bring me, but instead she just brought pain and gaslighting. But my friend, he's in trouble and he needs help. If we don't hurry, she might... No. Ah! Oh no! I took care of it. Oh, my boy! She can't hurt anyone anymore. But if it's not too much to ask, I do need help. Our boy! With a little something else. Right? His poor face. It's okay. Oh no, he's still got blood on his face. Rune's gonna fix him up, it's fine. Now we match! Now we match! What are you smiling about? Happy to see the fireworks? Or happy we managed to survive last night with our asses still intact? All my friends may have moms, but none of them have a big brother like I do. I love them. I love them. I love them. Yeah, we're brothers. Okay. I don't really think I can deny that at this point. I'm sure anyone could see the family resemblance. I mean, look at us. We've got the same smile, don't we? That's what I said! Okay, sorry. Smile to match my own. Good game. Good game. Look at you! Cuties. Absolute cuties. Gosh dang cuties. So that's Crowscare. It took us the 3 hours to get through it, but it's always gonna take us longer to do things on stream because we like to chat. I liked that though. I appreciated that though. Thank you for making the game, Arcade. Actually, thank you. Actually. No, that was delightful. Like, my brain is mush at this point. I have so many feelings right now. I have too many feelings right now. But that's okay. It was delightful. Also, hold on a second. Hang on a second. Can I just, that's not what I want. Look, this is my desktop background at the moment. Ignore Alan Wake up in the corner. But, it's fine. We only kind of like Arcade around here. Just a little bit. But, no, that was delightful. I think there are just like a couple of like little tiny things that I probably would have changed as far as gameplay is concerned, but I like the story and I love Rio, and I just, as per usual, the characters are all delightful in various ways. I love seeing your characters, basically. It just makes me happy. And that was a lot of fun, and I very much enjoyed it, and everyone here should basically check out Arcade stuff and give what feedback they can for all of her stuff. don't know. I don't know how to end this. I'm just like, that ending made me very happy. It was a good ending. It was a good ending. I got the same smile. Sorry, I'm just being a goob at this point. But yeah, we don't have time for any of the other games, unfortunately. So we will probably do Interrogation 091 and Chasing Static next week. Do some Dark Souls this weekend. That's okay. I figured this would take up most, if not all, of the time. Perfect. I'll post the link in the Discord, specifically for Crowscare, but that should be able to get you to, or I can just post the link for all of Arcade stuff. It's fine. Not me trying to make everyone play your dang games. It's fine. But yeah, so that's all I got for this evening. Thank y'all for being here. I love you guys. You're all great. And I am glad that we're getting back to doing our weekly indie stuff. These are some of my favorite days just because we get to check out a bunch of cool stuff. Today was a little different than usual just because, you know, I knew this was coming out and I wanted to play it and share it with everyone. And I'm glad that Itch.io let me because it almost didn't. Yeah, we'll be back with randomized Dark Souls this weekend. No, genuinely, like, thank you, Arcade. It's been a delight to get to know you and, like, chat and play your games and talk to you about your games and just, you know, get to know you a bit better. There are our raid messages. If people are going to join us on a raid. I only have a couple of people on right now, but does anybody have any recommendations for folks that we should check out? Because I've only got, excuse me, Okie Dokie Okami doing some Genshin Impact. Obsidian is doing some food and drink. They might be cooking. Nick's Blackheart's doing some Grand Theft Auto 5. But I'm open to meeting new folks. I need to stop being so hiccupy. My god. There's that good message. Let's see. I could see if... Thank you for being here. We can go hang out with Okami. They did just raid us the other day, but we haven't raided them in a hot minute. Genshin Impact might be a good way to just chill out after a good long time. We all good with that? Go hang out with Okami a bit? It's always hard with, like, the indie nights, trying to find somebody to raid, because it's like, I would just go raid somebody who's also doing indie games, but everyone labels their stuff a little differently for that. Yeah, let's go hang out with Okami. This is fine. Let me get that all set up and ready to go. Thanks y'all for being here. Remember to support indie devs. It's important. Wouldn't get all these cool big games if we didn't have people who were interested in doing little games, I guess. I don't know. The usual spiel of just creating people who are being creative. You know how it is. Anywho, I love y'all. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see y'all later.